Alright, so ways to find limits algebraically. First step, always, when we're given a limit, we want to try direct substitution. And in a lot of cases, it's not going to work, but it's going to help us with our next step. So direct substitution is just taking our a value and substituting it in the function. So if we look back at the example up here, this would work for our first example. Limit as x approaches -1 of our function. Here's our function. If we put -1 in for x, we get -5. That's our limit. So that works when there's no hole or asymptote or jump or any type of problem with the graph when it's like this. Now, obviously, direct substitution doesn't work in this case. If we put -1 into this function, we end up getting 2 minus -1 minus 3. We end up getting 0 on top, which is okay as long as we don't get 0 on the bottom. If we had 0 over 5, that's just 0. But in this case, we get 0 on the bottom also. Whenever we get 0 over 0, that means we haven't found the limit yet, but most likely there is one that exists. We just have to do a little work to get there. So if we get 0 over 0, then we can try a couple things. One of those things is to try factoring. Factoring and canceling out. Canceling common factors. Right. When we have common factors, that means there's a hole in the graph at that point. And once we cancel those out, then we use direct substitution, and it should work. That would be what we did right here. We factored out 2x minus 3 times x plus 1 all over x plus 1. This common factor gets canceled out. We have a hole at that point. Then we can use direct substitution. So now if we put -1 in for x, after that's been canceled out, we get -5. And then our last one that we haven't taken a look at yet, but we will shortly, is to multiply by the conjugate. So we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate. And this has to do with square root functions. So we have like a rational function, or like a fraction, but it has a square root in it. We're going to multiply by the conjugate. So an example, if we have square root of x minus 3, the conjugate would be square root of x plus 3, right? We just changed the sign to the opposite. So we would multiply by the conjugate, top and bottom, and then look to simplify, and then use direct substitution afterwards.